Hello, Internet. My name is Chamomile.
And I'm Mother Sorrow. Or should I say, Mrs. Chamomile?
You really shouldn't. I never agreed to that.
We have a marriage alliance.
We don't, though.
I agreed to spread the insidious rumor that Requiem has a thing for twink werewolves. In return, you offered me a bride price of all the profits from Natalia's Guide to Necromancy.
Wait, but isn't Requiem's dumb conspiracy theory that you were doing this since, like, the Kingdom Hearts season?
Yes.
Natalia's Guide to Necromancy wasn't even a thing. None of this makes any sense.
Don't be shy, Mr. Mother Sorrow.
Let's just do a show. I've got to get some chains. You can't wriggle out of chains the way you can rope.
Well, lots of change in Blasphemous.
Yeah, disappointingly, I don't really need any of this shit. But my attacks are now slightly more powerful just for having shown up. I mean, it's possible I just walked past something that's actually pretty good because it wasn't obviously good and I'm kind of distracted, but, you know, whatever.
Isn't that the woman who appears before a boss?
Yep.
Yep.
I had totally forgotten how to fight this guy, but I recall him not being too difficult.
So you're definitely gonna die.
Probably. See, his attacks are so infrequent, I start getting really greedy with these combos. And then I can't cancel out of them to dodge.
And do we want to try to talk about any topics while we're doing this, or
Yeah, I mean,
you need to focus?
I've literally just walked straight into it. But yeah, I can't think of anything to talk about, but
This dude's kind of like a lich. Do we want to talk about liches?
Sure. Do you have anything to say about liches?
I mean,
They're the hags of the undead.
they should be available as a PC option.
And in Natalia's, they are.
Oh.
Natalia's Guide to Necromancy. The Kickstarter is over and it's not in Drive-Thru RPG yet. Why am I so bad at advertising my products?
I guess a lich is basically just an undead wizard.
More or less, and that is the thing with making the playable Lich option. I'm glad it's in there, and I am sure there will be some people who are thrilled to have legendary actions. In the context of 5e D&D in particular, it is just... that means you're a boss monster.
What does a legendary action entail?
A legendary action is a special type of action that you can take at the end of someone else's turn.
Oh. Don't think you're gonna win.
Yeah. His first phase was very straightforward. Now his second phase isn't especially difficult either, but I am real bad at catching, getting the last hand down to bring him down to where I can smack him at a point where I can actually get over to him to smack him. He's got 3 phases, and his second phase, his first phase I was able to get through with not a whole lot of problem. Second phase, not so much. But yeah, the problem with the Lich's iconic power is just the ability to come back from a phylactery.
Yeah.
Other than that, they're just necromancers. So, yes. While I do think that, hopefully a lot of players will be satisfied just by the fact that, they get these legendary actions that are in a context of 5e. Very much a boss monster thing. PCs do not typically get access to them. The boss has a lot more health than me. I shouldn't be sacrificing my health in order to take some of his. I am a little bit concerned just that a Lich is not a transformation in the same way I was able to make vampires and ghouls. Vampires and ghouls pretty radically alter the way that you play. And that's just not true for a Lich. Because, you were already a necromancer, so...
I think Gary Gygax was actually the first person to use the word lich to mean an undead wizard, essentially.
What did it mean originally? I'm actually not familiar with the roots.
It just means a corpse.
Ah.
It's like an Anglo-Saxon word for corpse.
Alright. Now, I've got the hang of his first 2 phases, but we are either now in or about to get into the third.
And the third is the easiest phase.
Obviously.
I think I made that joke already.
He is not attacking me very much, and I keep waiting for... I mean, you might be right. I don't know if it's just glitched out or what, but so far... he's just hanging out, waiting for me to... Yeah, no, the third phase has been by far the easiest. Cool. I think he bugged out at the end there, but, whatever. I'll take it. I'll take it as, making up for some of the time I wasted futzing around. Oh, and hey, I get my guilt back automatically. That's neat. But yeah, I spent a lot of time just kind of crawling around this place, remembering where all the bosses were. You can tell I'm not nearly as familiar with the second half of this game as with the first. Because, I've beaten the game, like, twice, but I've played the first half of it or so, like, 18 times. The first time I played through it, I beat the game, but then after that, it would sometimes be like, oh yeah, Blasphemous was fun. I'll go and play Blasphemous, but having already beaten it, right, like, if I start getting even a little bit bored with it, it's like, you know what, I've already beaten this game. I'm going to go play something else.
I see everything from the hands of the dried tree in which the miracle has reincarnated.
Now, one thing that has always irritated me. So you've got a bunch of famous liches. You've got Miliflor, you've got Vecna, uh, you've got the guy with the weird name,
A
Achachach.
Sararak.
Yeah, Achachach.
I believe Nyuk 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 would also be suitable.
You also have, and I don't know how to pronounce this name either, the Demon Lord Kochesty or something. He's a Russian.
Oh,
I think you know.
Kocheskai. He shows up in Descendant to Avernus, and one of my players looked it up.
So the thing about Kochesty, the thing about Big K, so that's from Russian folklore, and in Russian folklore, very clearly a lich. He has his death hidden away, and the hero who kills him has to go find his death, which is hidden like in a duck, in a rabbit, in an acorn. So, like, essentially a phylactery. Clearly, one of Gary Gygax's inspiration for the concept of a lich. And yet in D&D, he's not a lich, he's a demon lord.
He's a demon lord of, like, frost giants, too.
Completely unrelated to the actual folklore. Like, that happens sometime, like, Baphomet is, like, not super similar to the Baphomet of the actual, like, Knight Templar accusation, but, like, I can at least vaguely see how you would get, like, it's not a great leap, but I can kind of see how you leap from, oh, well, it's a horned monster, so it could be the god of Minotaurs. That's dumb, but at least see how you got there. Don't know how you got there with Big K.
Yeah. It's the same thing with the Rakshasa. Did not realize there were spikes down there. Essentially unrelated to the creature from Hindu legend. I should be able to just walk right through the empty boss arena. See, I'm trying to get into the Inquisition's dungeon now, but considering how well I have the layout of the Mother of Mothers memorized, you know, that could be like the next 5 episodes. Strap in.
So we're gonna go fight the Inquisition?
Yeah. I mean...
And this game was made in Spain.
What are you saying?
Oh, just an observation.
Fair.
I don't think there's anything to extrapolate from that.
I certainly wouldn't expect so. I mean, they honestly just seem like kind of unrelated facts to me. But yeah, so that's, you know, the Rakshasa are, in the Hindu legends, they're said to be bestial-looking people, but not tiger people specifically. So yeah, that's something that D&D has done a lot. It really bugs me. Like, Baphomet, I will accept, in that Baphomet looks the same as he looks Baphomet was, a made-up evil deity anyway, just, a made-up demon for, okay, so, like, all religious and legendary figures are made up, but Baphomet was, like, no one ever believed in Baphomet, right? He was a conspiracy theory, basically, a made-up thing that the Knights Templar were accused of having believed in because some French king wanted to get rid of them.
The QAnon of the Middle Ages.
So, at least with Baphomet, it's like, okay, fair enough, you got the look right, and the look is basically all there is to this guy. So, Minotaur God is not an especially exciting way to take it, but, it does kind of feel like, you can go ahead and take it in whatever direction you want, and the worst thing you can be is maybe a little bit boring. But you can't really get it wrong. Okay, so I should definitely be able to get up there, but... it's not clear how. There's only one part of this place that I haven't already explored. So far as I can tell, besides the way that goes into the toddler boss. Which I have not been to the top of the Ferris tree. This looks new.
Yep.
I think there's some new side quest.
So the Ferris tree is made of metal, I'm guessing?
Huh. Never been here before.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, that means, like, iron, so I would assume so, but...
Is it like the tree of woe?
I mean, probably not, just in that you would have a hard time crucifying someone on this thing. It's very large. I guess you could crucify several people on it.
When is Conan going to show up?
I mean, they already brought in one person from another continuity, and Conan is public domain in the EU, so... these Spaniards can use them all they want. I have no idea how that works with selling to American audiences, though. Like, are they allowed to put that game on Steam? Conan's legal status is such a quagmire. If the copyright date is actually allowed to advance, then Conan will be public domain in a couple of years, but I expect Disney will have something to say about that. Oh, god damn it. Walked right into it. I expect Disney will have something to say about that as the Mickey year approaches. All the way back over here. No problem. I will just jump off the building. It is recently 2021. So here's a fun game you can play every year, every new year. You know, we're only 3 months late to it. Figure out how many works would have entered the public domain had the U.S. remained under its original 28-year copyright term length.
Oh my god. We finally got the Great Gatsby.
So yeah, what came out in 1993? Because everything under the United States original copyright term, which, bear in mind, was for an era which was, did not have telegrams, let alone the internet. Distributing your work quickly across the country was much, much harder, and it took much more time. For the first year or two of your work's copyright, you could plausibly be simply unable to sell it in many states because they were too far away. It took you a while to get in touch with presses down there and such, even if your work was really popular and had a national audience. Yep, I have overshot. So, if anything, the copyright term should be perhaps even shorter now. And in any case, 28 years is quite a long time if your goal is to personally profit off of something you have created. Like, if you have not made your money on your book after 28 years, then look, man, it's not happening. So yeah, under that term, all of the Star Wars original trilogy would be public domain. That means that people could just make Star Wars movies. We would not be shackled to whether or not Disney's latest Star Wars work is any good. People could create their own continuities, and if those continuities are good, then the fandom would coalesce around them. And that would become the new canon.
Nice thing about Death of the Author is when the author says something stupid, you can ignore it.
Right?
So when J.K. Rowling starts talking about how wizards would just poop in the middle of the hallway, Death of the Author, you can ignore it.
And under a sane copyright system, it would only be a couple of years out before you can make your own Harry Potter works that definitively say, what? No, of course we don't just poop in the hallway. That's ridiculous. What idiot told you that?
Also, Nagini was a Korean woman the whole time. Trying to think of other dumb retcons that J.K. Rowling did.
I'm going to reference my map, see if I can figure out how to get into the Wall of Holy Prohibitions. Oh, and while I'm at it... yes. I have a side quest to pick up in the Mother of Mothers.
Ooh.
And it wasn't even what I was looking for, but I saw how to finish the Rodonto side quest. There's a thing I have to do. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I could have... Yeah, I could have opened that thing before, I just didn't. Okay. I'm taking the long way. No problem. I need to go catch up with Redanto anyway. Terminator 2 would be in the public domain by now. Every good RoboCop movie would be in the public domain. I forget when Aliens came out. You know, the plural, the sequel. We'd be getting pretty close to the prequel trilogy of Star Wars. Which, as much as that was not especially well received, you might still want to try and recycle some of those parts into something good.
What if at one point the Jedi met in a 1950s style diner in the future for some reason?
Sure, why not?
And also, Jedi are not allowed to have sex.
Gotta be honest, that second one seems like it might be a weird fetish thing. I'm not sure about this.
And what if you had like a 30-minute stretch of like a race, and you call it pod racing?
Honestly, pod racing is fucking awesome, and people who hate it can fight me. Like, I don't know why the pod race gets so much shit. It's like, yeah, it's this weird plot detour. You know, this plot cul-de-sac where almost nothing has changed by the end of Tatooine as compared to when they started. But look, were you watching episode 1 for its marvelous plot? Like, is your issue with the pod race, oh man, there's all this junk between me and the Coruscant scenes? Like, the pod race was a big dumb action scene, and you know what? That has pretty much always been what Star Wars is good at.
What are your thoughts on sand, chamomile?
I am not convinced it exists.
Those sins are mine.
Huh. I was pretty sure he was supposed to be dead in there, but I didn't see him. I mean, if we're lucky, he's decided to go see a therapist.
I feel like this country doesn't have therapists.
That would explain a lot. The first half or so of the Final Fantasy series would be public domain, although Final Fantasy VII would still be a couple of years out. As would 6, which are the two widely regarded as the best in the series, although you will find people arguing for virtually every installment.
Behold, behold, gracious lady, her visitor. Oh, please forgive me, penitent one. You stand in the presence of Socorro, our pious lady of the perpetual heaven. Isn't she majestic? She's a miracle in herself, unceasing, eternal.
You doing okay?
A tear has rolled off her cheek. Could it be that her torment has diminished? Ah, poor lady.
So this game has something or other to say about Catholic guilt and martyrdom. And this side quest in particular, I feel like, is the point where it almost says it.
But not quite.
I'm still not sure what they're trying to say, so maybe it's my fault. Maybe I'm just not hearing it. But see, Our Lady of the Perpetual Agony there is I forget exactly what was going on, but there was some huge group of people who were all condemned to imprisonment with the Inquisition. And Our Lady of the Perpetual Agony prayed for mercy on them. And so the miracle answered her prayer for as long as they were imprisoned within, the Inquisition's dungeon. They never felt any of the pain of the Inquisition's tortures upon them, and instead, the one who prayed for them took all of it. Which is, a real evil genie kind of wish granting there. Prayer answering there. So there's this fellow there who is super into how beautiful this person's suffering is. And, I mean, this is probably the character who is the single most BDSM-esque of them all, so I guess I get it. But if you release her from her suffering, because all of the prisoners that she was prayed for mercy for have long since died of old age anyway, so you can release her from her suffering either the quick and easy way by literally killing her, or the more better way by completing her side quest. We will, of course, be doing that. Then this guy gets all despondent, and he goes to jump off a building, because apparently having an end to the suffering of this person is just, absolutely rocks his faith. But it's again, I feel like there's something that's supposed to be said here. That this guy's faith was entirely in that someone was suffering. But, I don't know what the point of that is supposed to be. It feels like there's a criticism in there, I just don't know what it is. That worked out. I like the way you put it. Of just the game runs into the room and just shouts Catholic guilt and leaves.
Pretty much.
So we're gonna roll with it. But yeah, my interpretation that the miracle is not actually sapient. It's just a magical force that reacts to the guilt and related emotions felt by the people of Custodia. The reason why I like that interpretation for that side quest in particular is I like the idea that Cleophas there is actually sustaining the torture of this lady of perpetual agony because he's so obsessed with her. And the penitent one is able to end her suffering. Basically, just because he's not cool with it. And, there's this little fetch quest you have to do, getting these marks of refuge. But they're ultimately just, sort of symbols, focuses for belief. So essentially, because the penitent one believes that there must be a way to save this person from her, cruel and at this point completely pointless torment. And so a way of saving her just kind of manifests itself. I don't really like Cleophas. I think that's the right guy. I think that's the guy who's all in awe about what has happened to this person. Just, he's very much, the thing that he loves to the point of despairing when it ceases to be. Yeah, okay, now I can ride this one level up. Fantastic. Is that, the thing that he loves is not that someone is willing to suffer for a good cause, not the nobility and the compassion that represents, but that the suffering occurs.
Yeah.
I think he's a good character, right? I don't think he's bad in the sense that the game is worse for having him. But, I think of him as a villain. There! God, but you do love swinging your hammer around, don't you? Alright, I got rid of his buddy. I think I might have this. What was that? He wasn't even attacking. He was on the wind-up. So how many Pathfinder adventure paths have you played? Even part of the way through.
Been part of the way through, because, I don't think I've completed any of them.
I mean, hardly anyone ever does.
Well, Kingmaker, obviously. Mummy's Mask. Reign of Winter. I'm gonna guess 6.
Curious what your overall impression of them has been, just from what you have personally played of them.
They're trying too hard to be novels is a big issue. And they have the whole thing that I really hate of, number one, they really, especially in the player's guide, they really try to push you to being certain characters. Like, they really want to dictate what character choices you're making. Like, they really want you to be from whatever region it's in, and they try very core races only Final Destination, which I've always hated.
Seems very against the spirit of Pathfinder, where, you know, their selling point is that they have a gazillion options.
Yeah, but they hate that you get to use them. Like, they did that because the base wanted it, but they dragged their feet every step of the way. And they never really did what I talked about with, like, you need to expand what... each race needs to sort of expand what a race can be in the game. Like, a lot of them are rubber forehead aliens. Like... They really want you to be embedded in the Galarian's lore as much as possible, which Galarian's lore is terrible. It also run into the issue, like... you really feel like a plot elemental. You don't have a lot of agency in what happens.
Which feels like a particularly bizarre oversight, given that they put so much emphasis on, you know, playing a character who is from this region. Like, they put a lot of emphasis with integrating you with this setting, and then, you know, there's never even a point where, like, oh, this character might know someone, you know, if they're from around here, and that will impact how the story plays out, because, like, you know, if to the extent that you get something like that, where it's like, oh, the characters might be familiar with, you know, this NPC already, if some of them are from around here, like, the most you'll ever get out of that is... it'll be like, oh, they will briefly mention how they know you, and this can be a good excuse to get them on the rails.
They just really push certain types of characters. Like in Jade Regent, they really push you to not be from the East Asia equivalent. They want you to really be from the Europe equivalent. It's like, well, then why are we doing this whole game? This whole adventure path is about showing off your East Asia equivalent, and also only half of it is in the East Asia equivalent.
Baffling decision.
Inexplicable. Like, it should have started in the East Asia equivalent. The whole thing should have been in the East Asia equivalent.
Yeah.
I've heard some of the designers have said that the stuff that is set outside of the European equivalent sells less well than this other stuff. That if it's set outside the European equivalent, it doesn't sell as well. So I guess that might be a factor, but I don't know. Like,
I mean,
I guess they said it outside of, they had it.
You made an AP that was about the East Asia region. If they don't sell well, why did you do that?
Well, apparently it didn't do as well as some of the other APs.
I mean, okay, sure. And, you know, if the audience isn't there for it, then that's like, you know, you gotta pay your artists and your writers and stuff. If the audience isn't buying your book, you can't do that. So, that's fair. But that doesn't explain why they put so little East Asia in their East Asia book, right? Like, if you're doing East Asia, then go all in on it.
I think the assumption was a lot of players were going to want to play characters from the Europe equivalent, which is probably true, but, like, you know, it's in a fantasy setting especially, I mean, in any setting this can be true, but in a fantasy setting especially, people can just show up from anywhere. Like, somebody wants to be, like, some European wanderer who's ended up in the East Asia equivalent, like, that's fine.
So that's also, and I mean, if the audience isn't there for the East Asia setting, then why did you even make the AP at all? Like, either you don't need this to sell, because, you know, you made it knowing that it wasn't going to sell, or you expected to be able to sell an East Asia AP.
Also the thing where they really they put way too much emphasis on the importance of their NPCs. There's like 3 campaigns where you end up putting some NPC on the throne. It's like, well, I don't care. Like in the East Asia one, like the one girls ends up being the heir to the Japan equivalent monarchy. The whole thing's about putting her on the throne. It's like, all right, some random NPC. And they did it again in their one in the Byzantine Empire equivalent, and they essentially do it in Reign of Winter, where kind of pushes you to put Anastasia Romanov on the throne of this fantasy kingdom. Which
possibly the stupidest decision in all of Paizo's voluminous library of stupid decisions.
One day I want to play Chamomile Reign of Winter just to see how much you have to change it.
Oh my god, I don't know if I could charge, like, you know, I don't charge nearly as much for running an AP as I do for running something that I make from whole cloth. I don't know if I could charge, you know, AP prices for that. Because I'm not sure if there would be enough for me to reuse there. Like, if I'm rewriting enough of it, you know, there comes a point where this is basically me writing my own AP. And, you know, the only reason it makes any reference at all to Paizo content is just to style on them, I guess.
At one point, you end up in real-world Russia during the Russian Revolution. Because of Anastasia.
Like, I have to think that whoever wrote that just thought the Russian Revolution was just the coolest time period. It's just like, yeah, I can work this into D&D. Magic Time Portal or something, no problem.
How would you change that?
I would omit it entirely.
Alright, so you're omitting an entire part of the adventure path.
Yes. Like, just set that entire book on fire. Like, ordinarily, you know, like, I sort of take the perspective, well, I'm, you know, they want me to... You know, they want me to run this adventure path, so even if it's bad and I feel compelled to improve it, I should still try and, you know, hit the beats of the adventure path as they are presented in the book, just because, you know, that's what they want, that's what they're here for. You know, they should be playing an improved version of this, but it should still be recognizable as the original. But with showing up in the Russian Revolution, like the actual real-world Earth Russian Revolution, there's no way I can improve on that without ditching it entirely. Like, if I wound up actually using that, it would very much be like, you know, okay, y'all wanted me to run this AP, so here it is. Here is the contents of this AP. I swear I'm not making this up. This entire adventure is set in Russia 1917. And again, I mean, I can't think of a single Pathfinder adventure path where its basic premise does not sound like fun. Maybe the Giants and Orcs one, which is actually one of the ones that I feel like they basically lived up to the potential of what they were selling there, in that they were aiming low. But yeah, the giants and orcs one, a bunch of giants are leading a bunch of orcs around is not really a campaign premise. That's a random encounter. Even then, I'm sure you can make it work. After all, both orcs and giants are perfectly good monsters. And, if you just give them a little bit of fleshing out, they can make for perfectly compelling antagonists.